Welcome back to Crypto Mindset Minutes. Today, we're going to continue our breakdown of the core mechanics of the fiat system. With that in mind, let's talk about some of that liquidity that I mentioned in a previous Crypto Mindset Minutes episode. Every time you hear about a new government spending package or the Fed injecting liquidity into the system, you're told that it's for the good of everyone, right? But what if I told you that the very structure of that help is designed to enrich a select few people at your expense, by the way? As I told you last time, this isn't some new phenomenon. It is a literal design of the machine. It's a rigged game that's been running for centuries. When the government prints $1 trillion, who gets it first? If you guess like everyone gets it at the same time, you'd be wrong. This new money enters the system at different points. Some players in the system have access to it immediately, and with that comes its like full purchasing power. But some players, like you and I, by the time it reaches us, well, that purchasing power, it's already been stolen. It is the hidden mechanism that the machine uses to transfer wealth from you to the elite. And guess what? It's happening right now. I briefly mentioned this concept when I explained how banks actually create money. And this silent theft that's going on, that's happening right now, it has a name. It's called the Cantillon Effect. And today, I'm going to pull back the curtain and explain exactly how it works. Because if you can understand it, well, then you have a chance to protect yourself from it. So, what is the Cantillon Effect really? It's not a conspiracy. It's literally a fundamental principle of how money distorts an economy. The name Cantillon Effect comes from an 18th century economist, Richard Cantillon. He saw that when new gold entered the system, the first that got to touch it always came out ahead. So here's how this effect works in the machine that we're living through and in today. I first mentioned this process in a previous Crypto Mindset Minutes episode, where I broke down how banks actually create money. If you haven't seen that one, I highly recommend you go back and watch it. That way you get the full picture of what's going on. The link is in the description. You really need to watch that in order to get the big picture. So let's continue. When the government needs money, it sells bonds. The Fed creates new money, new debt, out of thin air, by the way, to buy those bonds. This is the first gear in the machine turning. That brand new money goes to the government first. They spend it on massive contracts, salaries, and various social programs. The first recipients of that money, like let's say defense contractors or big banks, well, you know what? They get this new money at its full original purchasing power. They are the first cog in the system to benefit. But here's the part that affects you and I. This new money doesn't create more factories or more food. These new dollars that come into the system are just chasing the same amount of goods. That is the very definition of inflation. So, as I explained in our last episode, inflation isn't just prices going up. It's the value of your money going down. Think of it like a poker game where one player gets to add new chips whenever they want. The more chips that they add, the more it costs the other players to remain in the actual hand of cards. So this new money gets spent and invested, forcing the prices of assets to go up, assets like stocks and real estate. And here's the part that really gets to the effect on you and I. By the time that money trickles down to us in the form of maybe a wage increase or a small business loan, the value of that dollar has already been eaten away by the hidden tax of inflation. You and I get this new money last. We're paying prices that were driven up by the people who got it first. They got to buy the assets cheap. We get to pay inflated prices for everything from groceries to gas. This is not just some side effect. This is the machine's primary function. I keep saying it. I hope it's sinking in. It is the mechanism that the machine uses to transfer wealth to them. Now, some academics will tell you that this is just a neutral and natural phenomenon. Newsflash, they are lying. This is one of the most predatory financial systems ever designed. And in my take, I'm going to show you exactly who benefits from this and why they're so desperate to keep you from seeing how it works. All right, let's start out this My Take section on something that might make a little bit of sense to people who take the time to look at it and learn about the system. My take is that the Cantillon Effect is not some economic theory. It is literally the operating manual for the entire fiat system. The government, the Fed, big banks, they don't just benefit from it. They are the architects of it. They designed the machine to extract value from you. And let's be completely honest, they're not going to tell you how it works. That's why I'm putting together these Crypto Mindset Minutes episodes. I'm not here to parrot their official story. I'm here to expose the machine and give you the necessary knowledge you need to protect yourself. And my take is that this isn't just about money creation. It's about real, tangible outcomes. I mean, just look at your grocery bill, your rent, the price of gas. The reason these prices are going up isn't just because of supply chain issues or greedy corporations, even though the government and mainstream media would love for you to believe that narrative. It's really because the new money that's created by the Fed doesn't land in your bank account first. It lands in the bank account of the people who get to buy the assets before the prices rise. And my take is that this is inflation, plain and simple. This is why I dedicated an entire Crypto Mindset Minutes episode to explaining inflation. Because if you can understand it, you'll be enraged and want to do something about it. If you haven't already watched my episode to help you to understand inflation, the link is in the description. It will be worth your time. Please go back and watch it after this episode. The bottom line is, inflation, it's not some natural force of economics. It is literally their economic policy. The Fed prints the money. The first recipients of that money, they buy the assets. And by the time you and I get it, the value of that new money has already been stolen. This alone should have you furious at our current system, and frankly, our government for allowing this to happen. But if it hasn't, I have more. My take is that this is why the stock market keeps hitting all-time highs while your paycheck buys less. Those first recipients of the money, well, they use it to buy stocks, real estate, a bunch of other assets. And when you and I get to buy those assets, those prices have already skyrocketed. And we're left paying those inflated prices if we want to access those things. This is the Cantillon Effect in action. The rich get richer, and you and I, well, we get the bill. And my take is that this is why the system is so desperate to keep you and I confused. And they try to make you think and believe that, like, inflation is just some natural thing. The Fed's mandate is to maintain price stability. I spoke about that in the Crypto Mindset Minutes episode where I explained the origins and the inner workings of the Fed. They have basically used this mandate and turned it into a license to print money and let the prices rise. If you missed that Crypto Mindset Minutes episode about the Fed, man, the link is in the description. Make sure that you go back and watch that, because all the stuff that we're discussing now will make so much more sense. So please go back and check that out. But as I mentioned in that episode, the Fed calls what they do stimulus or quantitative easing. But that's just a fancy way of saying, hey, by the way, we're stealing your purchasing power. And my take is that's why the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, that they use to measure inflation, that's pretty much almost complete fiction. I mean, the CPI isn't based on the prices for things that you actually have as part of your household. It's nothing more than a manipulated basket of goods, chosen by the government, by the way, to be gauged by the government, by the way. Let's just say what it is, to ultimately manipulate you. But don't worry, the manipulation doesn't end there. Then they use something called hedonic adjustment to pretend that a new higher price for, let's say, a phone is actually cheaper because they made it better. So even if you're paying a higher out-of-pocket cost for this new phone, they are allowed to actually say it's cheaper than the old one because they added new features that are an upgrade. This is not an accident. It is a deliberate effort to hide the true cost of the Cantillon effect. And my take is that this is why the mainstream media and academia are so quiet about the whole thing. The economic narrative you're taught in school is dominated by modern monetary theory, or MMT, which ignores or dismisses the Cantillon effect altogether. Now, Austrian economics, on the other hand, which places the Cantillon effect dead center of its analysis, is barely even mentioned in any economic class, if it's mentioned at all. So there's the piece that academia kind of ignores. Now, let's get to the mainstream media. I mean, they basically parrot whatever they're told. They've told us that inflation is transitory. Oh, by the way, that was a lie. Honestly, they're not lying out of malice, or at least I would like to think so. They're lying out of self-interest. It's pure self-preservation. I mean, if you don't believe me, here's an example.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories that simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 The truth is, they benefit from the system, so they're going to protect it. And my take is that this is why you and I feel powerless. Ultimately, this continual erosion of our purchasing power isn't just an economic issue, it's a psychological one as well. I mean, it creates like anxiety and frustration, and in some people, a complete sense of hopelessness. I mean, that's especially true for people who are poor or even the middle class, what's left of them, because these groups have less access to actual assets that would help to like hedge against inflation. This is the long-term consequences of the Cantillon effect. It doesn't just steal your money, it steals your hope and ultimately your trust in the system. And my take is that this is why the government's out-of-control spending is so dangerous. The new money created by the Fed is often spent on wasteful and inefficient programs. Let's face it, the government is not efficient. And as we're seeing more and more lately, this money is being spent on just blatant corruption. But this exacerbates the problem. The US debt, which as of the recording of this video is rapidly approaching $40 trillion at a pace, by the way, of $1 trillion every 90 days. Yeah, that is a symptom of the Cantillon effect. Let me make it plain and simple. The more the government spends, the more it steals from you. And my take is that this is why you need to wake up. Obviously, the machine isn't going to fix itself. I mean, let's be real. The people who run it, no incentive to stop stealing from me and you, do they? The only way to stop it is to protect yourself. And the only way to do that is to understand the game, to refuse to play by its rules. So, with that thought in mind, let's talk about the moves that you have at your disposal to help yourself. Okay, so now that you understand the Cantillon Effect and how it helps them steal from you, hopefully you're mad enough to actually take some action. If you are, let's discuss some of the options at your disposal. Your move is to start your journey to exit their system with gold and silver. I mean, that is a reason why gold and silver has been money for millennia. They're both scarce, they're both durable, and unlike fiat dollars, they can't be printed out of thin air into oblivion. They are the original forms of sound money. If you like the physical aspect of these assets, head to a local dealer, buy some physical coins, some bars. Or if you prefer a more modern alternative, a more modern platform that can give you the exposure to these real audited metals without the hassle of storage, then your move is to explore goldbacks. Goldbacks are a physical, spendable currency that have a small amount of gold embedded in them. I mean, they're designed to be used like currency for everyday transactions. While everyone might not currently accept this form of sound money, you can help spread the word about this form of money. Become an ambassador for goldbacks. Help people to understand them and just be willing to accept and use this form of money. But if you like doing things digitally, well, you can still have access to these assets with a platform like Kinesis. Kinesis allows you to buy, sell, and use digital gold and silver, which is backed by actual physical gold and silver that is safe in their vaults. But Kinesis does even more than that. It offers you multiple ways to earn yield on your gold and silver, which up until now has been near impossible to do. Not to mention that they give you the ability to be able to directly spend that gold and silver via a debit card. Now, if you don't have a Kinesis account, getting one is super easy. There's a link in the description and of course on the My Toolbox page of my website. Just go there, sign up, verify your identity, and that's it. You're off to the races. You are good to go. Oh, and by the way, the best part of that whole thing is that if you use my link, you'll be eligible for some free silver. So you may want to go ahead and check that out. But your moves don't end there. Your move is to also consider using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Now, I realize that everyone watching this video may not be familiar with cryptocurrency. That's okay. If you subscribe to my channel, go visit my website, CryptoCoinMindset.com, and sign up for my free resources like my newsletter. There's a link in the description for that, by the way. You'll be on the right path to start educating yourself about this asset class. But if you're going to start out by buying Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency for that matter, consider just starting small. I mean, dip your toes in the water. That's it. Maybe 10, 50, or if you're really feeling adventurous, $100. Get it and just hold on to it. In the process of doing that, learn how to use a self-custody wallet. Learn the very basics about private keys and security. I've put links to some resources that will help you with that in the description. It'll take you to my website and you can learn about things like private keys. But with Bitcoin's fixed supply of 21 million coins, and of course its decentralized, permissionless nature, it literally becomes the ultimate hedge against the Cantillon Effect. Though many people enter the crypto space thinking about making money, it's not about getting rich overnight. It's actually about being self-sovereign. Because once you are, no central bank, government, anybody could devalue you or your economic energy. Want to take crypto to the next level? Then your move is to actually use it the way it was meant to be used. Consider living on cryptocurrency. More and more people are doing this every single day. And if you are going to make this move, I suggest you use Dash. It is literally purpose-built for this very thing. And if you are ready to make this leap, then check out my Living on Crypto playlist. The link is in the description. it will show you how you can actually use cryptocurrency to live day to day. Now, I started talking about educating yourself a minute ago, but we need to talk about that a little bit more. So your move is to explore other resources to educate yourself. I recommend that you consider reading 2 books, The Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean Amos and Broken Money by Lynn Alden. Actually, Lynn's book, it's so full of knowledge. It's kind of big. So I'm going to suggest that you might want to try out the audiobook. That's what I did. But The Bitcoin Standard is definitely the definitive guide about how money works and how Bitcoin is that solution to fixing what is wrong with money. But Broken Money, on the other hand, it starts out with a more historical lens, and it eventually transitions through to our current system and eventually shows you like all the inner workings and, quite frankly, why the system is failing. These books are a clear and powerful way to help you quickly understand the real world of money. The link for both of these books are in the description and, of course, on the My Toolbox page of my website. But there's more. Your move is to take control of your finances. Build a budget, track your spending, and pay down high-interest debt, especially your credit cards. Consider creating an emergency fund. Ideally, an emergency fund that can sustain you for 3 to 6 months. Because when you're not drowning in debt, you're not at the mercy of the system. And your move is to share this knowledge with others, to talk with your family, your friends. Share this episode. Explain the Cantillon Effect over coffee or dinner. Because the more people who understand how this system steals from them, the harder it's going to be for the machine to keep doing what it does. Make it your mission, not to just protect yourself, but to help break others free too. Because the bottom line is, the time to act is now. The Cantillon Effect doesn't wait for anyone. Every day you delay is another day that your purchasing power erodes. Start small, but start today. Your future self will definitely thank you. It's your move. I'll see you in the next episode.